What you really want to hear tonight is we really want to hear about what goes on with Don McNeal and Brian Steingo. So I'm going to really advance things along to that point because we are running a little bit behind, and I know everybody here just wants to party up tonight, right? You want to get into the drinking, right? You want to get into the dancing, right? So that's what we're going to do. So first up, I want to first introduce Don McNeal and what I've learned about him. And I can't see you right now, Don or Rhonda, because those lights is really... Wow. Snuck up on me. Thank you. So, you know, I had a script written for me, and I'm sorry I didn't get to study this because, again, we've just been putting together this program and doing all the other programs that we have coming up. But in getting to know Don McNeal, I learned a great deal about his character, his strengths, his battles, and that he's empowered not only with an athletic gift, but with unwavering faith and fight. The gift of being a champion, born a champion. Don wrote a book a few years ago, which I read. I read it a few times because I wanted to make sure I really knew about him, his family, and everything that was going on. It's called The Hometown Advantage. This book gave me an appreciation for his upbringing and how he was pushed forward after losing his mom at an early age, excelling in high school and in college as a star football player, and continuing to develop into the NFL player that he became. Over the last few months, it has been my pleasure to get together with Don and with his wife, Rhonda. I feel honored that they have shared with me many of the challenges and situations that living with multiple sclerosis has presented to them. It has been inspiring to learn that with each stumble or fall, confusion and concern, in each instance, he continues his battle tackling MS. He tells me about the times he's fallen. He tells me how he gets it back up and how he's got the strength to just go forward and continue each day as it was planned to have been, even if he did not have MS. Like any true champion, Don continues to learn and develop and find ways to beat this monster called multiple sclerosis. Last year, CBS 4 also recognized Don and his champion spirit, which we'll see featured in this piece, in the screen. If you would all take a look at the screen, Bill's going to put on something that's 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and you can count it. So everybody, let's thank Don. With each challenge, Don continues to push forward and strong faith and a big heart, just like he did on the football field. And with this being said, I would like to honor Mr. Don McNeal for his fortitude in the face of adversity. I would like to give him this award.
Thank you guys so much. I really do, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me tonight and for this award. I really and truly appreciate it. Like I say, I'm so glad to be here tonight. And you know what? I'm really about, love is, what is love? Okay? For me, love is joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That's what love is for me. The 13th verse of 1 Corinthians says, "And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love." Faith and hope will happen. Faith and hope will happen. But love is God's virtue of everything. It lasts forever. When I was coming along in life, my family lives in Detroit, Michigan. Matter of fact, two of my sisters are here. My sister here tonight that came from Detroit. I was going to Detroit this particular day. Well, I was in Detroit, had got in Detroit, And me and my brother decided to run. We decided to run. So we out just jogging, having a great time jogging. And all of a sudden, I just tripped and fell. I got up, didn't think nothing of it. Kept on jogging and all this, getting in shape. And then I tripped again. I said, my gosh, what's wrong with me? I said, oh, this just happened. I started jogging again. Then I tripped and I fell again. I said, you know what? Something is very, very wrong with me. So you know what? I better get myself up and leave Detroit, go back to Miami and see my particular doctor. So I went in to see my doctor, and I saw him, and he kept looking at me strangely. He said, McNeal, I want you to go in and take some tests. So I took those tests, and he came back. He looked strangely at me, but you know, he didn't keep me or didn't say anything. He sent me home. So I went home, and he called me. He said, McNeal, I want to see you again. So you know what? I went back to the doctor, and I saw him again, and he looked strangely at me, and he said, McNeal, I'm going to see you home. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. So I went home. I got a call from him later on. And this happened this is like 6 months before I got this last diagnosis from him. And this is what he said. He said, Don, I want you to go and see this particular doctor. His name was Dr. AI. AI. So my wife and I went to see Dr. AI. My wife is sitting over there. I went to see Dr. AI. And I was in seeing Dr. AI. When I went in, he recognized me. He said, you're Don McNeal, right? You're Don McNeal. I said, yes, I'm Don McNeal. He said, Don, you was a great football player and all this, but you know what? You're Don McNeal. He was so excited. He said, I said, well, I'm here too because I got something wrong with me. I was running one day and I fell for no reason at all. He said, you know what? We're going to fix that. But he said, you're Don McNeal. He was so excited about it. So he ran all kind of tests and all these things was happening to me. He said, Don McNeal, I want to do one test for you. I want to do a spinal tap. And I've never done a spinal tap before. He said, Don, when you get in this chamber, you have to really and truly stay still. Because if you move, it's going to be not too good for you. I said, okay, well, I get in the chamber and I'll do that. So I got in the chamber. I took the test. Long story short, he came back and he told me, he said, Don McNeal, I got some news for you. He said, Don, you have this thing we call MS, multiple sclerosis. And I didn't know anything about that. But you know, he helped me with this thing called MS. He gave me all kind of diagnoses, and he told me, he said, Don, you know what? You need friends. You need people that can come alongside you, and these people can help you out. And that's what I have done. I got all kinds of friends in my life. Matter of fact, I got some friends here today. One of my friends is my lovely wife. She's here. That's my greatest friend. I love her so tremendously, and I'm so glad she was given to me. I got a daughter here too, Jessica McNeal. She's great here too. She's here tonight, and I love her tremendously. I couldn't do it without her. Then you know what I got? Get this, guys. I have 10 sisters and brothers. I'm so excited about that tonight. Matter of fact, I got 3 of my sisters here today. Eula Mae, Lily Mae, and Eunice. Those people are here tonight. And they helped me tremendously. Those girls are very, very important in my life. But you know what? I got all kind of people that are in my corner. And some of these people are here tonight. And you might recognize some of these names. First of all, Dwight Stevenson. I mean, Dwight and I came to Miami together, and Dwight was a great football player. Well, he is a great football player. You know all about Dwight Stevenson, and I love him tremendously. And the best thing that ever happened to him was his lovely wife, Dana. She's here tonight too. Then I got another guy here tonight too that I care so much about him, and he and I are just like brothers and brothers. His name is Tony Nathan. I called Tony and his lovely wife, Johnny. They're here tonight. And they have done a lot for me in my life. Another person that I'm so glad this guy came tonight, his name is Glenn Blackwood. It was so good to see Glenn Blackwood. And me and Glenn used to play in the backfield together. And Glenn used to call all kind of plays for me. And we called this one play, it was a play, Combo Blitz. He used to call it all the time for me. Combo Blitz, you know what that stands for? I got the person one-on-one. And I hated that. So Glenn called something else. But then I got an interception and everything was okay. Thank you, Glenn. Then I got another guy here. This guy, his name is Mark Duper. I love Mark Duper. Mark, do you love me? Mark always cut my scooter off in the back. I said, man, come on, Duper, what are you doing? But you know what? I love him. He did so much for me. Call me, said, Don, you need to go get in this chamber, this bariatric chamber. I can't say it, but he was instrumental in me getting in that chamber. And I thank you, Mark Duper. We have Bob Brzezinski is here. And I remember Bob, Coach always telling Bob to buzz to the old cut. Bob was the best buzzer in the whole world. I love you, Bob. Thank you for being here tonight. And one guy here that I really like, and he's last, but he's certainly the last on my list, and that's Mr. Nat Moore. Mr. Nat Moore, you know what? He was a great wide receiver, and we had all our fights every day in practice. But you know what I like about Nat, what he did for me? Nat came to my wedding, and I like that. Thank you, Nat, for being at my wedding. And I got so many people here, but I got A.J. Donaldson and his wife Jade is here, and I thank him for that. Marlon and Michelle is here, and I'm glad for those people are here. But I'm so glad to be here tonight, and I'm so glad to be here because you guys have made everything possible for me. One other person that I want to say before I leave, and I want to tell you what MS means to me. I want to tell you that, okay? But this person here means so much to me, Dr. Cobo. Dr. Cobo. Dr. Cobo is here tonight, and he's here with 3 other girls here. Man, they're beautiful ladies, man. I am very impressed, Dr. Cobo. That's great for you. I like that. But Dr. Cobo is my doctor. He helps me with my teeth. Is my teeth are looking good tonight? I hope they are. He did that, and I'm so glad for that. But I had a great time being here tonight, and I want to tell you guys one thing. Yes, I have MS. MS don't have me. But you know what I call MS? I call MS for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I call MS my savior. Because see, I can't deal with it, but he can. Thank you guys for having me. Bye-bye.
I'll bring your award to you afterwards, okay? Thank you. Champion. So, everybody could sit now. I like you standing for me, but I know it's not for me. Thank you. You know, I have a thing also about MS before I call up my next speaker. And MS, one day I hoped, with all of your help, that we could say that MS simply means mystery solved. All right, so again, I cannot see with these lights, so I'm probably going to find him behind me in a minute. But I want to introduce our next man of the hour. Our next honoree is Brian Steingo. Wait, I have a few minutes to say something about Brian Steingo. Dr. Brian Steingo has had a great impact on my life personally, and an even greater impact on the MS community as a whole. He has tirelessly put his efforts and energies into not only the treatment and care for people living with multiple sclerosis as a neurologist and healthcare provider, but he has actively committed himself to research and advocacy, volunteering his time and energies through his work with many advocacy groups, including MS Views and News. Dr. Steingo has touched many lives through his work, and as a speaker and educator, he continues to help so many affected by multiple sclerosis navigate through the complicated lands of MS, encouraging his audience to become informed and empowered patients. His vision of the land of MS has spread to thousands, advising and guiding them through the uncharted and often scary landscape of this chronic, debilitating disease. For this reason, this evening, we are awarding Dr. Steingo with the Land of MS Coach of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Brian Steingo.
Well, welcome to everyone, and thank you very much, Stuart. This is the first gala, so I'm especially honored to be the first honoree. This award could be given to many people, and everyone here that plays a role in managing MS. And by the way, I can't see because I'm blinded, so if I wander around sometimes, I'm blinded by the lights. But this award could be given to many people and to all people, because treatment of people with MS is not something an act that one person does. It's not only me that manages how someone with MS does. This is a team thing. Treatment of MS is a team thing. But before I start talking about MS, I do want to talk a little bit about the Miami Dolphins and to some of these people over here that are in this room. So some of you who know me well will know that in the 1980s and 1990s, when the Dolphins were a winning team, before our last few depressing years, that I was a Dolphin fanatic fan, that I had season tickets and went to every game every Sunday and sat there and tailgated every Sunday, even with my vegan habits and vegetarian foods, managed to sit there every Sunday and got there and left it. By the third quarter, my wife would say to me, it's time to get out of here because the traffic's terrible. And can you imagine leaving on Monday night games? By about the third quarter, I was pressured to get out of there. And on Sundays when I was home, I would change 6 times. If a touchdown was scored against the Dolphins, I would change my shoes. Another touchdown, I changed my shirt. Another touchdown, my socks. I had six sets of everything to change. Fortunately, in the 1980s and 90s, I never had to change very much. Of course, now I have massive wardrobe because I'm changing every 5 minutes. So I thank all of you from the Dolphins, Don McNeal, and all your colleagues over here in the 80s and 90s for providing me with years of entertainment. If they lost on a Sunday, by the way, on Monday my staff would say, don't talk to him. This is going to be a bad week. So that was my life with the Dolphins, and thank you very much. So I have been involved in the care of MS for many years, and in the 1990s got very involved with the MS Society and later with Stuart, and I'll say some words about Stuart a little later. And I think that I'm going to say a few words about what MS is, because there are many people here that don't understand what MS is, and I want to give you just a brief background on MS and tell you that MS was actually described by Charcot, a very famous neurologist, over 150 years ago. And we had no treatments for MS until 1993. So if you go back 150 years, you find out that we have no treatments for MS until 1993, only some 23 years ago. And now where have we come since then? Amazingly, we now have 13 medications approved for MS by the FDA. 13. Now most people with MS start out with attacks and episodes. We call that relapsing MS. Some people with MS, unfortunately, start to progress right from the beginning. And the good news is that this year we're hopeful that we will have our first approved drug for progressive types of MS. And so MS is an autoimmune disease where the immune system attacks one's own body. There are many other diseases like that, like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus and others. But in MS, the attack is on the brain and the central nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, and the optic nerves. And that leads to all the symptoms that you can get of MS. So the symptoms of MS are quite widespread. And a very important role that I have myself and other neurologists who treat MS, like my colleagues, who I appreciate coming tonight, Dr. Burks and Dr. Cantor, they're somewhere here. We all fight this battle every day to treat people with MS. And part of our battle is to make sure that people have the right drug. And now that we have so many drugs, part of the treatment of MS is to individualize the treatment if we can. We're trying to pick the right drug for the person based on their preferences. What are your preferences? Do you like injections? Do you like pills? Do you have other conditions? All these things become very important. So individualizing the treatment for someone with MS has become something very important that we're trying to do more and more. And so I came up with this idea that Stuart mentioned. I called it the land of MS. And I said, when you have MS, you enter this new land, this land of MS. And my role in this MS is going to be your coach. Because at the end of the day, I can't tell you what to do. So I'm trying to make an analogy to football. So you hear all the time in football, the coaches in football talk about some analogy to the battlefront and to wars, which I don't know if that's appropriate, but I make an analogy to football. And I say, I am your coach. I will tell you what to do. I will give you the best advice possible. But then you are going to be the quarterback, because you have to be you are an integral part, a very important part of this team. In the success of how you do, you are very important. So I am the coach. And you are going to need people around you to support you. So when people have MS, the support that you have is essential. Family support, friend support, organizational support, all this support around you, supporting yourself as much as you can with positive people. These are all very important things that we're going to do with MS. And so that was the analogy that I had of how MS, and that's how Stuart came up with it, that I'm the coach in the land of MS, because I'm giving you advice. But management of MS, other than the disease-modifying drugs that we're going to always deal with, that the self-help aspects, what people do for themselves, and how you participate in this management of MS are very important things. And the things we are going to stress to you all the time, is going to be taking care of yourself, exercising, the right diet. And we're learning things about this now. The same as you do with heart disease. And when you have heart disease, we talk to you about managing your blood sugar and managing your cholesterol and exercising. Guess what? We're saying the same things about MS. What's your diet? Avoid salt, avoid sugar. In my eyes, avoid meat or have infrequent red meat. And we're learning more and more about the diet, the importance of vitamin D in MS. So we're learning more and more about things that you can do to modify the course of your disease. These are all very important. And then the support that you have around you. Surround yourself with people that are going to give you support. In this day and age, and Don referred to some of this, the importance of support. People that are positive around you that can help you. And some of the things I've learned about MS that are very important are compassion. This is a chronic disease. We need to be compassionate, patience, kindness. There's a brilliant book written by Piero Ferrucci who talked about the power of kindness with MS, understanding this chronic disease. Because guess what? A lot of the symptoms of MS are invisible. The visible symptoms are out there. You might see someone have trouble walking or someone in a wheelchair. That's visible. But there are many important invisible symptoms of MS that are disabling. such as loss of memory, fatigue, and pain. And they may be very disabling. So when someone says to you, I can't do it because I'm tired, it's not that they're lazy or they're motivated. This is an invisible symptom of MS. So we need to pay respect to someone who has invisible symptoms. And then the other people who are actively involved in management of MS are the caregivers. I'd like to give an award to all of them. All caregivers could get this award just as well as I could tonight. So this is an essential part of the management of MS, is caregivers. And so going forward, it's all the things you do for yourself, exercising, being mentally active, being physically active, hopefully having positive people around you, having a sense of purpose. And so I'm going to end, because Stuart's standing here already, and I'm going to say that how do you do something like this? You have to have a sense of purpose, you have to have support, and I couldn't do this every single day if I didn't have the support that I have. And so you see that at this table right over there. I see them. So where do you start? I start firstly with an amazing wife whom I met when she was 10 years old and I was 13, and she stuck with me through thick and thin, because I'm not perfect by any means, and stuck with me all these years, and I love her and I thank her, and I couldn't do this without that kind of support. And amazing children, a son and a daughter, and amazing grandchildren that you've met. 2 of them are here. Unfortunately, the youngest one was not feeling well, starting from last night. So amazing children, in-laws, uncle, aunt, amazing family. And that's what helps me do all this. You can't do this without the support. And my friends, thank you to all my friends for being here. Thank you for everybody else. Thank you to everybody else in business that I work with. Thank you to those patients who have been loyal to me, who hopefully think that I'm doing things to help them. Thank you for all of them. And I'm going to end off and thank Stuart. And if it wasn't for Stuart, we wouldn't be here. Obviously, Stuart could get this award, but he couldn't award it to himself. So thank you all for coming very much. Thank you.
Okay. Good job. Yeah. You were nervous for the first time. You were nervous. You were nervous. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Hey, everybody. You know what this means? It's almost party time, right? So firstly, before I say thank you again for coming, I want to first thank you again for coming, all right? So everybody out there, please give everybody a round of applause for making this whole thing happen tonight. Our first awards dinner, and we hope to be back again next year. And I want you all to just party on with us. Come on, band, come on up.